What's up, Tina? Hey, I'm just gonna do a little video what I think might help you with your blue horse. This guy has very similar what you're talking about, just kind of real bracy with their head. You go to pick them up and you just kind of want them to collect themselves and make good turns and whatever have you, and everything's just, you know, everything's a problem for them. They don't want to do it. They don't want to put the effort into it. That's really all it comes down to, and you just kind of have to train it into them. The wind's blowing like a motherfucker, so hopefully you can hear me. But I'm just gonna do a few little tricks that have helped me tremendously with the horse, especially like this. This horse is like 10 years old, so he's probably kind of similar to your blue horse. He just comes with a lot of baggage, and you just kind of have to work with him through it. But he's smart enough, and the things that I'm doing with him are very simplistic, that he should be able to pick it up. I rode him all this morning, and he did half-ass all right. Definitely hate getting on a horse that moves off. He did good this morning, and rode him all day. We get back to the ranch where the bunch of horses are, and he acts like a fucking idiot, like he don't know nothing. And basically, I would look up, Clinton Anderson has a lot of great, fantastic videos on cold starting, problem horses, whatever, and he has got most of his material on YouTube. And as bad as that sounds, like, that's where I learned a lot of shit, YouTube. And it's just a matter of coming out here and fucking with a horse and getting them to do what you want. So basically, what I would try with your blue horse is exactly this. As soon as I pick him up, he needs to be in frame, which to me, like, I posted a video of that little bay horse, like, getting him to lope off and do some lead changes and whatnot. For them to be able to do that, they need to work off of their shoulders, or else if you're just steering them around in their face, like, a horse don't move from their face, they move from their shoulders. So you got to find a way to push their energy, which is their ass, which is their motor, through their shoulders. And the way that I learned from Clinton Anderson to do that is picking up their face. So I'm just going to do a few little circles. Hopefully you can hear me. My inside reign's going to be just a tick shorter than my outside rein, so I can get his head cocked in, and he's hunting that circle once we start going. And I'm bumping with my legs. Like, my legs do not stop touching him. Depending on which direction he needs to go, that leg's going to be pushing, counter pressure, obviously. So it's kind of, all this stuff is basically just timing. You got to catch it at the right time to be able to teach them, oh, okay, that's where I needed to be. You'll see with this guy, I'm going to walk him off, and I'm going to pick him up immediately and start his run. Right there. That gives, so I'm picking him up, there, and I'm driving him with my feet. You have to drive him, or else if all you do is pick him up, then he's going to stop right there. So in order to keep him in frame, I've got to drive him off. Drive him with my leg. If you don't have a set of spurs, it is much harder to achieve if you're just using your legs. There. So I'm going to pick him up, drive him there. Drive him there. Now this horse is off. He's old as fuck. Not even, he's like 10 years old, but he's just a spoiled prick. So as soon as he's kind of got there, I'm going to hold him until he sets his head and let him go. When I ask him to do it, so once he sets his head like that, perfect. That's kind of step one. Step two is being able to ride him around and kind of hold that for a little longer. So the more he advances, the more he gets rode, I'm going to ask him So I'm going to give a little pressure with my calves. Pressure, pressure, there. And even though it's the slightest bit, when you're first doing this, you've got to settle for the slightest thing. Try it again. Pressure with my hands, picking them up. Pressure with my legs, just kick, pressure. He's saying fuck you, pressure, there. When he goes to back up, that's telling me I'm not using enough leg, because he's getting more pressure from his mouth than his legs driving him. So basically, he's going to back up. But if you combine both of them right, enough pressure in his face and enough pressure in your legs, meaning his ass, his motor driving him, you're going to get a collected horse. And all the energy isn't going out of his face like a horse with his head up his fucking ass. It's going to come out of his shoulders. So when I'm starting, like, this is to me this is like basic kind of colt starting foundation. Once you got, like, I don't know, 10 rides on him or something. But for a horse that's like this, that just doesn't have a handle at all. He doesn't look good, he doesn't handle good, like nothing. He's disrespectful. To me, a horse has kind of got to be able to do this, because a basic handle, a basic foundation is me being able to have a soft horse. You know, I pick him up, I want him to give me his head while driving his ass, which means he'll be able to stop better, he'll be able to turn over his shoulders better. A horse naturally knows how to carry themselves out in the hills and whatever from falling down and killing themselves, but they don't naturally know how to carry somebody. I mean, they're just not born with somebody on them. So when I walk him off, I'm gonna pick him up, inside rein a little tighter than the outside rein. He's backing up, which is perfectly fine. I'm gonna engage my legs, bump, 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 bump. More pressure in his mouth, there. I'm gonna let him go, there. And basically, it is just very repetitive. Inside rein a little shorter, right there. And I just call this like just framing up a horse, like right here. That's a good frame. He's hunting a circle. He's got his nose towards the inside, but I'm bumping him. I have not stopped kicking him with my legs. Because as soon as I stop kicking him with my legs, whoa, there. That's the beginning of our stop. Like them reiners and people, you know, that are really getting a horse to drag their ass. You're engaging, and then, whoa, everything stops. When you stop riding your horse stops. So, I'm going to turn him around. Same thing with the turn. The start of a turn, here's what I do at the start of a turn. If I want him to start turning left and I really want him to cross over on this front end and pivot that hind end, first, I believe you got to teach them to move their ass end. So, I'm going to pick up this rein, get him to flex, and I'm going to take my spur and I'm going to stick it, like not in his flank, could make some horses buck, they haven't done it before, but just stick it a little bit further back, right there. And as soon as he moves, boom, that's all I want. Because when he figures out how to move his ass end, right there, right there, right there, right there, and I'll back him a little bit, and I'll start initiating a combo. Like I'll pick up both my reins again, inside a little shorter, keep that head cocked, right there, inside leg, move his ass, hold him, and this is going to piss a lot of horses off because it's very unnatural. There he goes, going to raise his head. I'm going to bump him, there, set his head back down, bump him, set his head back down, and then, whoa, I'm going to cross him over. Whoa, right there. Basically, that's setting you up. That's setting your horse up to cross over successfully. So I'm moving his ass, driving his front end forward. Boom, right there. It's not pretty at all, but it's a start. And for a horse that's having trouble turning around, or their head's up their ass and they don't want to turn, it's probably because They just don't know how to turn around pretty or properly. So I'm going to set them up. This is kind of step 2. Like once you can kind of get your horse to frame up pretty good, like I'm picking him up, he doesn't know, I'm going to kick him, kick him, kick him, kick him harder. Hello, wake up, right here. Kick him, bump him, there. It's kind of a combination, and it's honestly something you've just got to figure out. Like, every horse is going to be different. It's just a matter of you figuring out, okay, I want to pick this horse up, pick him up, pick him up, pick him up, there. Take a little bit, I'm going to settle for that, because then I'm going to pick him right back up. Pick him up again, pick him up, there, again, there, again, there. Now I'm going to kind of hold him a little bit. Hold him, bump him, bump him, bump him. There. Kind of like that. Like that's kind of leveling up right there. Like once you can pick him up, like I want to be able to pick him up with my fingers, pick him up, nothing, no response. He knows, so I'm going to get a little aggressive. Bump him, bump him, bump him. Like, hey, motherfucker, come on. Like, you know this shit. There. And he knows. Same, so again, like with the turning, I'm going to bring his head around, inside leg to the inside circle, like you were saying in your text. Get him to move his ass around, set his head, and I'm kind of bumping him a little bit because you want to keep that head set. Slow, smooth, smooth as fast. So just go as slow as you can. Spur. Right there. As soon as you start, like when you start, just settle for one step. Move his ass. Pick him up. Move his ass. Move his ass. Move his ass. And then when you stop, I'm going to set his head. His head's up his fucking ass. He's like, fuck you, there. And turn. Right there. There. Start of our circle. Or the start of our spin anyways. I'm probably way out of frame. Alright, here we are. So this side, I'm going to set them up. And it's kind of like, I'm not just using my inside rein. Like, my outside rein isn't just loose. You've got it, when you pick them up, you've got to use both reins. Because you're kind of, like, you're turning them, but then you're kind of pulling them back a little bit. And that's what causes them to back up. So, if I do it without my legs, I'm going to turn him to the inside just a tick, set his head. I'm going to frame him up. And of course he's tired enough, like he's not really going to want to back up. He's exhausted. But if he had energy, I'd frame him up. He'll probably do it now. He's fuck you, there. Right there. As soon as he sets his head where I want it, boom, I'm perfectly happy. Set his head, watch my leg, spur, there. Right there, that's all I want. Then I'll ask him again, pick him up, spur, there. And I'm kind of like, if you watch my hands, I'm kind of bumping them just a little. Like the more they learn this and the more mature they get, when you first start, like with the colt's got like 5 or 6 rides, I'll hold them. Like hold pressure, and then when they do that, give it. But once they kind of know, or like your older horse or this older horse, he did good all day, so I kind of expect them. Like I'm not really asking him anymore. I'm more or less telling him. So like, I pick him up, I expect it. Boom, right there. I'll pick him up again. Boom, right there. So then I'll combine it. I'll walk off. I'll make a circle. Go to the right. Pick him up from the inside. Hold him to the outside. And I'm spurring with both legs. When I'm just walking a circle and I want him to frame up, I'm spurring with both legs. Now if he goes to fade out, like where these horses are over where he's headed, I'll use my left leg. That's why I'm saying, like, if you don't have spurs, definitely get some, because this will be very much easier. Because instead of kicking like a motherfucker, I'm just bumping it. Bump, bump, bump. Both feet, and then when I want to stop, whoa, right there. I sit down, let my feet out, frame him up. When he gives me his head, that's all I want. So, like, this horse is very, very stiff. I know he doesn't look like it right now because I rode his dick into the dirt all day. So he is tired, but this is a perfect time to work on these very like fine details, because he is tired and he's more willing to listen. If I were to do this first thing in the morning, he'd probably try to buck my ass off. But I don't know. I feel like framing up a horse, it combines picking up their face and being soft, like he's not giving it to me. I'm gonna kick with my leg, bump right there. So he knows I pick him up, I drive him forward. So I'm combining. I can get like a side shot here. Move his ass over. And it also helps too, like just getting control of every part. You know, 3 parts of your horse's body: their ass, their middle, and their shoulders to their neck. Like when you can move a horse, I want to just move his ass, or I want to cross over on the front end, or like all of those things are like a pyramid scheme. And at the very bottom, you've got to be able to have this frame. You've got to be able to pick him up and drive him forward there. So he thinks, you know, for the past 10 years, that whoever's rode this horse, I pull on the reins, I back up. You know, I pull on the reins, I back up. I don't necessarily want that. Like, yeah, that's okay, but that doesn't do anything for their head or the rest of their body. All that does is create, I'm getting pulled on, I back up. If I want him to back up, I'm going to frame him up, frame him, wait for it. I've got steady pressure and he's not doing anything right now. So what am I going to do? I'm going to bump him. Pop, 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 there. And as soon as he frames himself, gets his head where I want it to be, then I'm just going to kind of bump him with my legs. Bump, 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 and bump him with my reins, there. And get a nice little back up. And basically, the difference between a back and going forward, because when you're going back, you're doing the same thing. You're framing them up and you're kicking them. How do you do the difference? It's 100% feel. Like, I can pick him up and back him, but I'm pulling on my reins just a tick harder than I would if I want to go forward, obviously, because he's not going to want to go forward. I'm pulling harder than I'm kicking. I'm kicking harder than I'm pulling. In that frame him up, just a tick, just my fingertips. Like, see if I can do this here. Goddamn broke finger earlier this morning. So, fingertips, frame him up, and now I'll drive him forward. Up, kind of raise his head, pop that inside rein, get him framed back up. Frame him. And there we go. Set his head. And this is what, to me, is what just creates a soft horse. Like, I'm not being aggressive, I'm not being super mean, but I'm not afraid at all to, like, demand his softness. Whoa. Like there. See how he kind of raised his head? I just kind of popped him. I caught him right as he was doing it. I could feel his head going up, pop him. Like, hey, no, that's not what we're fucking doing. Keep your head where it needs to fucking be. Because if your head is up here, I can't do my job, you know. If I go to start sorting cattle on this horse, he's gonna want to throw his head up as I'm trying to make a cut. And by the time he takes the energy to throw his head up, rather than just keeping his head low and watching a cow and moving his shoulders, he's gonna miss the cut. Like, we're gonna be 10 days late. So, again, this adds up to me. This adds up to so much. Once you can get a horse framed up, there. And once he kind of understands, you can do it at a standstill. No pressure on my legs. I pick him up, pick him up, pick him up. I'm gonna bump him. Pop, 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 there. That's all I want. Now you're gonna have to do that probably 10 billion times before the bridle horse that actually, you know, carries themselves naturally like that. Because this horse it's just like a fucking child. You just have to tell him every fucking time. You've got to tell him, hey, get your fucking head right, you know. And And as they get older, as they get more of a, you know, handier horse, they pack their head around like that because they know that's how you ride, that's how you work cattle. You know, if I go to start swinging my rope on this horse and he's got his head up his fucking ass and it's way up here, not only can I not rope, but I have no handle on it, you know. On top of all this stuff, it also teaches a horse that your legs are an accelerator and the steering wheel. To me, your hands are not a steering wheel. Like, yeah, like when I frame him up, I'll get my inside rein a little shorter so he has his nose in the direction that I want him to. But at the same time, like when I have a finished bridle horse, I want to be able to pick him up and adjust my speed. Like, to me, my reins and my seat are kind of my brake. Like, I'll kind of neck rein on him a little bit, but I guess the point that I'm making is I feel like the biggest flaw in so many people are they just don't use their feet enough. So, like here, as you can see, I've got tension on this rein. He's falling asleep because he's tired, and I've got to bump him. Like, I'm asking for more. Nothing, 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 nothing. There. So, going back to my feet, I'm going to bring him to the inside. Once we start kind of pivoting and starting to spin a little bit, I've got this inside rein a little bit shorter. I'm going to frame him up there. And when he frames up, I'm going to let him go just a tick, but I'm going to pick him back up. Because when I let him go, he's obviously going to bring his head back up because he's lazy and he doesn't want to move his shoulders. The whole point, to me, why a horse doesn't want to pack its head around, and like people say, well, naturally you watch a horse travel in a pasture, like they kind of have their head up a little bit, which is true, yes. But when it comes to working cattle, watch a cutting horse or a reining horse handle themselves. You know, them people are on a loose rein and they're cutting cattle, and that horse is down here looking at them because they have to be. If their head's up here, they're not looking at the cattle, they're looking at the clouds. So it teaches them not only to carry their head where it should be most of the time, but it also teaches them to lift up their shoulders, again, with setting their head. It sets their head here, and I kick him right there when he goes to back up. I kick him, say, no, just set your head. I don't want you to do anything else. That doesn't mean back up, you know. Set their head. I'll put a little pressure on my legs. There. That's kind of like the sweet, like, just the middle of everything. It's right where you want him. If he starts backing up, kick him. Kick, 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 right here. Kick, kick, drive him. Set him. And that basically drives their engine, stops the brakes, and like forces the energy. Like, the energy has to go somewhere. You've got energy coming out their ass, which is their motor, but like you're stopping them. So that's why they go to throw their head, because they're like, well, I don't know where to go. Well, I'll show you where to go. Look for the empty hole and follow your shoulders. So let me help you. I'll show you where to go. Set them up, drive them. Drive, drive, drive. And he's kind of like, wait, okay, we're making a circle. Just set your head. That's all I'm asking you to do. Set your head, drive, 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 drive. See how he's saying, fuck you, there. Right there. Driving with my legs. If you watch my legs, it's almost harder to see just because I ride with a little longer spur, so I don't have to move my legs all that much. And they're right there. As soon as I want to give a command, it's right there. There. Set their face, drive with my legs, drive with my legs. Drive with my legs, set their face. Whoa. Set his face back down. When we go to stop, and he's just like, oh, well, that's what I know when to stop. Just throw my head in the fucking air. Now, you stay in frame. Get him to stop here again. Set him up. There. Drive him off. Walk him off. Straight line. There. Whoa. Now, see? See how he moves? He pops his head up because he's lazy. He doesn't want to When a horse stops and pops their head up, that's because they don't want to drag their ass. They don't want to sit here and walk and go, whoa, and stop. Instead, they just want to walk, whoa, and just like stop at their front end. Sheer laziness. Now, he doesn't know, which is perfectly fine. So I'm just going to ask him perfectly reasonably. I'm not going to ask too much. I'm going to frame him up, kick him, kick him, kick him. Right there's where I want his head. Whoa. And I'm going to bump him and be like, hey, get your head back down. Like, you know, he knows where his head needs to be. He's still a little bit confused. And I'll give him that much. Like, you know, he don't know that much. But if he can set his head to me, he should be able to keep it there. He doesn't know how to feel somebody's seat. When I say whoa and I sit down, he doesn't, like, that doesn't mean anything. So, he's still, like, every other thing I've been saying, it's just something that needs to be taught. Bump him, get his head down. He's getting tired, so he's kind of getting pissed off. Whoa. There, that was a little better. Half-assed decent. Since he's so tired, I'm just going to say that's good enough. I'm going to quit him. He's been rode all day, so I don't want to kind of get on that fine line of, well, now I'm getting pissed off. He's not doing what I want, and he don't really have a good place to settle. If he's going to settle that good, I'm going to call it quits. Yeah, it's, to me, getting a horse framed up, driving with your feet, you know, setting their head with your hands, set, there. It just correlates to so much. Like, you've got to, you know, you want to start really picking up their leads and from a walk or whatever, a right, left lead. Like, they've got to be able to drive. You've got to be able to set their head. If I want to pick them up in a right lead, I'm walking and I want to pick them up in a right lead, you've got to be able to set their head to the right, drive with my left leg, so it's the same concept. I'm getting energy through his ass, and I'm saying, go, 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 let's go. But I'm also telling him, no, hold on, like, keep in frame, like, keep your head where it's supposed to be, stay in frame. I don't like that either, that head going shit. He's just getting pissed off and tired. I'm going to let that down. Picking up a right lead, I'm going to frame him up, and I'm going to drive him with my left leg, so all of his energy, the open door, that's the key to all of this. You're teaching them, just look for the open door. Look where there's not pressure. And where there's no pressure, you're already going to the right. Where there's no pressure is in your right leg. So as you're getting drove, and I'm kicking you harder with my spur, you're forcing them to be like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to do this. Perfect. That's all I wanted you to do, you know. And as you do that more, well, then as they get better, you can pick them up with one hand like a bridle horse and just lope them off, you know, if that makes any sense. It should look like that, but hell, I don't know, I'm just fucking rambling on. I don't even know how I'm gonna fucking send this video, but basically it all has to do with picking them up. And when you pick them up, they want to naturally do this, kick them, and then that forces them to do this. Like their energy, they're going to be very, very fucking confused at first, which is perfectly understandable because you're asking them, basically, in theory, I got pressure in my mouth, I'm backing up. No, I'm kicking. Okay, well, and that's their initial knee-jerk reaction. Like, well, what the fuck do you want me to do? Like, get the fuck out of my mouth. And that's what people are like, oh shit, you know, I'm way in his mouth way fucking too much. Not necessarily. Like, you just need to figure out if I'm picking him up and he's backing up, maybe you're picking him up just a little bit too much. Just as soft as you can, pick him up, get him to back up a little bit, take a step or two, and engage your feet. See what he does. If he, you know, I would plan on going in a circle of some sort. It's easier to frame them up in a circle. So like, if I want to go to the left, I'm going to pick him up. Inside rein a tick shorter than my outside rein. I'm going to pick him up, and he's going to want to back up like this, and I'm going to drive him forward, and he's probably going to want to do this. And I'm just going to hold him, maintain pressure, and walk him off, kick him, kick him, kick him, drive him forward. And when they're driving and doing this shit, like, as long as you're walking, maintain pressure. You're not gonna fuck them up. Maintain pressure, walking, he's throwing his fucking head. As soon as he at least has some sort of stability and quits fucking throwing his head, if that's what he does, or if he likes to brace up, as soon as he does this shit, throw the fucking reins to him. That is like step one. This shit is just all timing, all fucking timing. And the cool thing about it, and the reason why I always resort to this, is because you can take a 10-year-old horse that I don't even know where the hell this motherfucker's been. This is the first day I've rode him, and they pick it up very easy the quicker you get with your timing. So like, the more feel you get in your hands and your legs, and you combine it all and get them to frame up. They don't want to do that. You just hold them until they give you that little bit. And that's what he did this morning. This motherfucker didn't know a fucking thing. And the first chance he gave me, it was something like this shit, and then like, pop, right there. And it's like, give it to him. Fucking give it to him. Keep trotting, like we're going to fucking gather cows, like leave him alone, and then go to pick him up again. Like, these are, and it's something that you can do anywhere, you know. You're going to fucking work a horse or gather cattle, like whatever. You can always pick them up and frame them up, and it collects. That's like the first step to getting a horse collected and stopping, turning, like anything. Picking up leads, all I believe has a foundation to do with framing up a horse and getting him collected. If you can't frame up a horse and get him collected, like a problem horse, this is what I refer back to. If they can't do this, I'm going to get them to do this, and 99% of the time, we're going to be successful. So, if that made any sense at all, cool. Good luck. Hit me up if you need anything.